While Vice President Harris broke barriers and made history last night, her opponent is hoping to deliver a compelling counter-argument today. Trump is heading to Las Vegas, where he'll host a No Tax on Tips event this afternoon before a rally tonight in Glendale, Arizona.
But the former president has had some difficulty staying on message after Harris delivered her speech. He dialed into Fox News for an interview that was ultimately cut off by the Fox host. Here's part of that.
No, she's not having success. I'm having success. No, it's only in your eyes that they have that, Martha. We're doing very well in the polls. We're leading in most of the polls. And in the swing states, we're leading in almost every one of them.
Mr. President, let me interrupt.
They threw Joe Biden out of the party.
And that's why we saw a different night tonight.
Mr. President, thank you so much for the time. We appreciate that live feedback.
Stay right there. Live edition of Gutfeld is coming up.
That wasn't my fault, Donald Trump. He's still talking, by the way.
And joining us now is NBC's Jonathan Allen, also Tolu Olorunnipa, Washington Post White House bureau chief. So, Jonathan, what did the timing and the substance of Trump's rebuttal signal to you?
Well, I think he's angry that he's not at the center of attention and has not been for the last few weeks. He's going, I think more and more to the most desperate bag of tricks that he has to kind of command attention. It was on the disarray among Democrats after the late June debate, and then it has been on Kamala Harris for pretty much every moment since she was elevated to be the Democratic nominee, and certainly during her convention. And Trump has difficulty with that. He can't stand it. Last night was a moment of a historic moment, the nomination of the first black woman for a major party. In history, and Trump was, she was reaching for history and he was reaching for a gaslight.
Tolu, before he dialed into Fox, Trump was live reacting to Harris's speech on his Truth Social platform, literally dozens and dozens of posts. We don't have any more room on our graphic to show them all, but they were kind of all over the place. At one point, he went back to his argument that undocumented immigrants are taking black jobs. Trump has downplayed the calls from the allies of his to be more disciplined in his attacks. What are the risks for him politically in continuing to go to those kind of same old playbook moves?
Yeah, this is a truncated campaign. It is shortened. It is a 100-day sprint to the presidency. And every day that Donald Trump spends flailing on multiple different issues, not having a clear line of attack against Kamala Harris, is a day lost. And I think his campaign advisors know this. They are scrambling, trying to set up these events that are supposed to be policy focused. But when he can call into Fox News or Newsmax and just start spouting off at the mouth, it's going to make it very difficult for them to come up with a clear line of attack against Kamala Harris and a clear rationale for why she should not be the next president. And so he is losing his advantage, the advantage that he had against Joe Biden, and he is clearly rattled by it, and it's making it very hard for him to stay consistent and stay on message. And it seems like every day we're getting a different message from him, and it's going to be very difficult with this shortened campaign for him to be able to showcase why Kamala Harris should not continue this momentum that she's had over the past several weeks.
And Jonathan, Trump did post one tweet on X during his social media blitz. He posted both on Truth Social and X, thanking Georgia Governor Brian Kemp for all his help. You'll remember that Trump picked a fight with Kemp during a rally just a couple of weeks ago. What does this show you?
It shows me, number one, that his aides have had some influence, gotten his ear, and told him that it was pretty dumb to attack the popular governor of Georgia at a time when he is vulnerable to losing Georgia again. And it tells me that he's using, using Twitter, his home back on Twitter, to do some of the communication outside of his own base. There are people outside of his base that will follow him on Twitter that will not follow him on Truth Social. But look, he does damage to himself, and this is an attempt to repair it. And you wonder how many voters in Georgia decided to heck with him the last time he went after Brian Kemp.
Tolu, Vice President Harris made a concerted effort last night in her speech to make her pitch to not just Democrats, but to Republicans and independents. Are there any signs that's breaking through?
Well, you can also look at the people who were on stage before Kamala Harris, including Representative Adam Kinzinger, a Republican who was in Congress and who broke with Trump when he was in office. We saw during this 4-day convention a number of outreaches to Republicans and moderate voters, and Kamala Harris continued that with her speech. And it's clear that there are voters who don't like Trump and who aren't yet sure about Kamala Harris. They weren't in Biden's camp, but they are giving an open ear to Harris and thinking that maybe they would cast the vote in support of her if she can give an olive branch, if she can push back against these attacks that she's a radical leftist, that she's a San Francisco liberal, that she wants to be extreme and invoke communism on the country. She presented a very different message, a very different profile to those voters. And it's clear from what we've heard so far, just in the few hours after the speech, that those voters are listening, their ears are perked up, and they are considering voting for her. And it's one of the things that's driving Donald Trump crazy, that, Kamala Harris is reaching into his base, reaching into the people who would have voted for him if it was a Trump-Biden match. And now all of a sudden they are drifting away from Trump. And we were seeing that in all the polls that we've seen, despite the fact that he is citing a number of polls that we have not seen that show that he's ahead. It seems like the polling is showing the momentum going in the opposite direction towards Kamala Harris and away from Donald Trump.